Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video from me. I wanted to do kind of a chatty video today because so much is going on in my life, and I kind of wanted to give you guys a bit of an update about what's happening and where I'm at. So I've seen so many videos of the whole starting over at 30, and honestly I feel like I have kind of started over in my 30s as well in so many different ways. So obviously a lot of you guys who are familiar with my channel know that I moved out this year, but I will just kind of speak as if nobody knows anything about my life, just so that anybody new who just wants some inspiration or something to relate to or wants to hear another person's story can kind of understand mine a little bit better. So basically, let's just recap on my whole life because I feel like we need to. So when I was 16, I met someone who I fell in love with, or thought I fell in love with, and was with them for a long period of time. We bought a house together, which was with my inheritance money, and it got really messy because I then broke up with them, and then things happened and it got really bad and toxic, and then the pandemic happened, and then there was lots of lying from him about who he was dating and not dating and what he was doing with me at the same time, and it was just all this messy, horrible, toxic time for me in my life. And then basically I had been working throughout this. So I originally was a fashion stylist in retail, and I used to do visual merchandising, and then I switched to working as a fashion stylist within an actual photography company and predominantly working with Debenhams at the time. Obviously pandemic happened and a lot of things changed. Debenhams kind of was sold, and my company didn't need the studio there anymore, so making lots of people redundant, and I ended up just leaving and going freelance at the time. And I was working as a fashion stylist freelance, and I was also streaming. During the pandemic I was really fortunate and had a lot of support financially through streaming. That kind of has yo-yoed around a lot since I have been streaming, which is totally fine. The thing for me with streaming and people who want to be content creators and things like that, and as soon as you have a spike in subs, I think it's really important to remember that if it's a gifted subs, then the likelihood is that people can't consistently gift you on that level. So I would never treat that as a full-time income. I've always looked at streaming as a little part-time income, or a little extra kind of thing, a way that I can make money to spend money, but not a way I can make money to live on, if that makes sense. I'd love to get to the point where my streaming content creation kind of covered everything I needed to do, just so that I could fully sustain myself and be happy, because I think the kind of person I am is I've always loved jobs where I can be freelance or a bit more free with everything I want to do. So who knows, I'm going to still work hard and see where I can push myself to as a content creator. But that's kind of just a bit of a lowdown about where I was. So I was basically in the pandemic, just or after the pandemic, I should say, I was just freelancing, doing different things. And then basically, I really wanted to move out, because at the time I was debating whether to buy the house off my ex, which probably financially would have worked out better for me at the time. And then even if I'd sold it on, it probably would have been better. But I couldn't really afford to do that, and I couldn't do that on my own with the income that I was then getting, and I wasn't in a full-time job. I was just in my self-employed, which I didn't have enough years for at the time to back. So basically I ended up having to kind of put the house on the market, which happened, and then the housing market at the time really plummeted in my late 20s. This is literally the last few years. It's a year ago or something I put the house on the market, or something like that. I don't know, can't remember what it was now, but the housing market was plummeting, and we had to keep lowering the house price to gain interest on the property. So we did do that, and we ended up taking a little bit less than what we thought we would be making on the house. It was still more than what we originally bought the house for, but am I in a better financial situation now than I was pre-buying the house? No. So actually, even though we bought a house, it hasn't actually benefited me in any financial way. If anything, it was a negative thing for me compared to my ex, who would have benefited because he ended up getting money from it. So he actually did benefit because he never put anything into it, and he walked away with more. But I actually, because I had to pay certain things when I left, I basically was left less than what I put in, which was really disappointing for me. But it is what it is, kind of thing. So yeah, we sold the house, and that was a really scary time for me, because it was had been my home for nearly 10 years, I believe. And I basically was really nervous. But also I met somebody new, and kind of began to feel differently about love and see love in a really different way. I'm not going to get all gooey with you guys, but I basically started a fresh relationship and I now currently live with that person. So we ended up looking for somewhere to live together because it just made sense. We both lived in completely different areas. So we were like, if we were going to make our relationship work and things like that, instead of like running backwards and forwards, we looked for somewhere together. So that's also been an adjustment because I literally was living on my own for like the longest time. When I moved, I also said to myself that I would start looking for a job because when the pandemic was happening and all of that post-pandemic, I should say after pandemic, when I went freelance, because what I had or have explained to you guys about the fact I don't view content creation as a full-time job, I looked for a part-time job, which I did manage to get. I ended up working for an insurance company, which was a really, really bad idea. It wasn't fulfilling at all. I enjoyed the aspect of helping people because it was in pet insurance. So I often tried to have really good conversations with people and help them as much as I could. I had a lot of problems with the company and with people there, unfortunately. It became like a really like unfriendly working environment for me. And I think at the time I couldn't really reflect on that and flat out say that. And I'd be like, no, it's fine kind of thing, attitude. But in hindsight, it was a really bad working environment for somebody of colour, and I'd never ever recommend any person of colour working in an insurance company such as RSA. In the training modules, multiple times, there was stereotyping done of people of colour, and whenever it was about Asian people and I brought it up, it was instantly removed. Whenever it was about black people, they literally would debate and argue with me, these white women, about it, saying that that's not like the intent or blah blah blah. And it was really uncomfortable for me because my boss, who was white female, she was like, yeah, no, I see exactly what you're saying, but like then I was having to fight for other people to understand why it was so problematic to have in training modules. So basically the last issue I remember was there was a page of like different people and they represented different emotions and they used the black woman for anger. And I just thought, like, are we really gonna hone in on the whole black woman like as the angry woman kind of thing? When you're a business owner, these are like really things that you should think about because it's like a subliminal message that you're consistently putting into people and playing into these biases and prejudices that people already have. But the angry black woman is like a massive prejudice and stereotype for people. So I don't understand why anybody would use that as a reference and not understand the implication of that. That really, really bothered me. And as I say, the way they handled it also bothered me even more because it's like when I tried to like say like it was wrong to do, like they were like kind of like trying to justify why it was okay and, you know, all these kind of things. And I was like, well, who actually defines what's okay or not? Is it just a bunch of white people that are telling you what's right and wrong, or do you actually ask people of colour if the references are okay? And yeah, it was just very techie. And then they were like, oh, like we could have a meeting and learn more, but it's like I didn't even want to. I was like, why does that fall on me to make you understand? Like I'm not an educator in that environment and I didn't really want to be. So that wasn't fun. I also found out very quickly on when I did my own research about the company that the company was actually associated with the slave trade, and they never released like an official apology statement or anything like that, but they have acknowledged it in certain things. So I found that really like weird as well. And also when I first started working there was loads of pictures up of like all these old figures who are racist. So I just thought it was a really strange working environment, and it did end up getting bought by another company when I was working there. So whether these kind of things have changed, I don't know. They also did have BAME group, and you know the word BAME, it's just highly offensive. Like people need to stop grouping people into groups because BAME is not appreciated within most people's communities. Yeah, so basically I left that job and I've been looking for work ever since, and I've actually just got a job and I'm going to be a relief residential care worker for children. I'm really excited to start this job because I love working with kids. One of the things I started during the pandemic, oh my god, so much has actually happened, it's actually crazy, but during the pandemic I also helped create the biggest protest in my local city that's ever happened, and it was a Black Lives Matter protest. And then from that, me and one of the other girls, Paige, formed a BLM Peterborough movement where we basically wanted to go into schools and deliver workshops and communication about diversity, racism and inclusivity. And that's what we have been doing ever since. Okay. Are you good? Okay, be free. So yeah, me and Paige formed BLM Peterborough, and yeah, have been working with kids, and I really, really love doing it. So I just knew that working with children is something that I'm really passionate about and something I would really enjoy doing. The shift hours are going to be really long, and I start this week, so I'm really, really nervous, which is also why I wanted to make this video, because I feel like I'm starting again at 30 and so much is happening this week. So the relief work means that I kind of pick and choose what shifts I want to do, which is really cool for me because it means I can keep being a content creator and doing the things I want to do. But it's just at the moment I don't have the money in content creation to only do content creation. So I have decided to do this job. So I'm going to see how it goes. And that's why I've been kind of reflecting. I also have been like studying and learning new things. And I recently completed my first level 2 qualification in child and young people's mental health. And I'm really proud of myself for doing this, because my friend Kat, she spoke to me a little bit about this, and she was like, oh, like, while you're not working like that, you could do one of these courses for free. And I'll put a link below, because anybody that's earning less than 22 grand a year can qualify for free funded like courses, and they're not like really intense ones. I think the biggest course that's free is a level 2. I'm not sure, there might be some level 3s, but they're just kind of like good little things to keep your mind ticking over. And if you are unemployed and looking for work, then these kind of things might be good for you. It just like helps your brain keep thinking, and it can develop your skills and also make you more attractive to businesses, you know, that are looking to hire you. Because if you can go into an interview and say, no, I'm not currently employed, but I'm doing this qualification at the moment, it kind of just looks a little bit better than I'm just sitting at home doing nothing, waiting for a job. I really, really, really have enjoyed doing it. It really was kind of refreshing and eye-opening for me, because around some mental illnesses I didn't really know that much. And it's kind of like a bit like university, so it's like self-studying, and it gave me links to read and things like that. And there's still some things from the course that I did pass that I really want to read, so I have like a tab of like things that I still need to go through and read. But I just thought it was really good to just keep learning. And even when you're 30, or even when you're 40 or 50 or whatever it is, and as you're getting older, or even when you're younger, I think it's really important to keep learning and always have that attitude, because I think some people get really complacent in life, and then it just becomes kind of, I don't know, lackluster. And you know, your life can just like wander by, and you're not doing anything new, not learning anything new, not trying anything new. And it's just like, then what are you doing with your life? Are you living? Do you know what I mean? A little bit. And that doesn't, you know, mean that, you know, having a lazy day on the sofa where you just watch your movies all day is like a waste of a day. This is not. It definitely isn't. But it's more like, you know, that little fire inside you. You want to keep it burning. Like, you want to keep that life spirit going. And I think the ways to do that is doing new things and exciting yourself, and learning new things is part of doing new things. So for me, that's my way, and I would definitely encourage it with other people. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when I look at my life right now, I'm nowhere where I thought I would be at the age of 30, and that on its own has terrified me a little bit. I always wanted to get married when I was like 26 and start having kids like straight away. Like, I've always been family orientated, and I've always wanted kids. And I think that's why the biggest issue for me in my first relationship, that we weren't really getting to that point, and I couldn't picture it anymore. Like, I couldn't picture having his kids or getting married, because he just never really made it a thing. Like, we joked about like marriage a little bit, and like we came up with some kid names, and like we did have those conversations. The funniest thing for me now is he has a kid and named the kid name that we came up with. But you know, it'd be like that sometimes. But we weren't meant to have children then, and like now I'm like happy that I didn't have any kids with him, because if I had and we didn't work out, it would just be messy. And I've always had the idea in my head that whoever it is I have children with will be kind of my forever partner, which I think is everyone's goals. But whether it's achievable, you know, I think it takes work and effort, and also making sure you don't end up having them accidentally with the wrong person. But to be honest with you, with regards to relationships, like, I feel like really surprised that I am where I am too, because I kind of got to a place where I was really comfortable living alone and being alone. Like, I felt very, very powerful and like happy being alone and living alone. I actually loved it so much. When it came to like thinking about children and my future, I was like, oh, okay, like, before I met my partner, I was like, I'm going to move out and I'm going to adopt, and like, that's going to be my life. Like, I want to adopt kids kind of thing. And I still want to adopt kids, don't get me wrong. But yeah, like when I met him, it kind of shifted like what I wanted, and it's kind of pushed back that again because I want to make sure I'm in a good, happy, stable relationship before I have children and things like that. So those are the main things for me. So working on our relationship initially, I think, is really good to set really strong boundaries. I didn't want to like rush into that again. Anyway, the whole point of this video was kind of to recap you guys on where I'm at the moment, and I have some really good meetings this week, like some crazy opportunity meetings. That's kind of it. There's my little video on starting over at 30. New house, new job, a new partner. It's been very overwhelming, but I'm happy. So yeah. Sometimes starting over is worth it. And I think, do you know what the scary thing is I think I've learned how to start over. So, and with that has come like a massive relief, because it's like I don't feel as like worried about the future either. Whatever happens, happens. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that's the end of this video.